More and more people love the idea of living and traveling abroad and having a business that travels with them. It's time for a new podcast episode where we talk about a few pitfalls people don't really have on the radar. They sign their company formation and believe, oh, this is it. Now I have my company. But I just recommend if you are European, if you are registered in Europe, try to get that done in Europe. If something goes wrong, you can act quickly. You want to go abroad, you want to live where other people go on holiday, because why not? And what do? This is for the European crowd. So for you guys, I recommend you found an online company. Worst case, you have to close your company or you have frozen accounts. And this type of shizzle, nobody needs. And during my last few months in Asia, I've actually, it somewhat clicked inside of me, because last year, if you have followed me so far, you know that I've founded my new company, Ethosun, where I really want to help other people achieve their dreams of traveling and living abroad and just moving around without having to set up new business structures every time they cross a border. Or, it's not really, you don't have to move around with this type of setup. The beauty about it is that you can just decide what you want to do. If you want to live 5 years in Peru, you can do so. And if you then decide, hey, you know what, I just got a new job offer, or whatever, my friend invited me over to South Africa, you can just go, right? So you make maybe a few phone calls, you adjust a little bit online, and then you're ready to go. And this is what I really love about my setup, or this type of life and business, so to speak. So back in the day, it was a little bit more complicated, but nowadays it's actually some is getting really easy, and other stuff is still very hard to achieve, and it's getting more and more complicated for some reason. But we're going to talk about this in some other episodes. Today, I really want to focus on a few things that I've noticed last year, especially that so many people, many young people, which is amazing, they want to go off grid and travel and sail or live in a camper van and whatever, and then just do their own remote job as well, which is great. But so many still have no idea how to really pull it off and how to do it correctly and legally sound, especially because you don't want to do this and then find out a few years later that there's a not so nice letter waiting for you saying that you owe the state X amount of money. Or, worst case, you have to close your company or you have frozen accounts, and this type of shizzle nobody needs. So I decided to start this new chapter. Oh, by the way, new chapter. I have a new German Maria Unleashed channel. It's called Maria Unleashed Deutsch. Very simple. And over there you can find my German content from now on. That's just a decision I made because of the algorithms. They don't really like bilingual content. I tried. I prefer to have everything under one roof, makes it easier for me. But it is, not so good for reach and views and this kind of stuff. So I decided to just create a second channel for all the German content, and then I keep my OG Maria Unleashed as well for the English content. So if you prefer to listen to me in my mother language, please head over to Maria Unleashed Deutsch. I will link everything below, of course, so it's easy for you to find. The guest episodes, they will be depending on the language. So obviously oh man, I really love this location. I saw it, so you are going to see a few more in the next coming weeks, but it's obviously out in nature. It makes a few things a little more complicated, but also more on that later. Anyway, so it depends on the guest. If it's a German guest, then I will launch it on my German channel. If it's an English episode, I will launch it only on my English channel. So just for you, if you guys also speak two languages and understand me and tune into both, you kind of have to skip back and forth. But I try to make it as easy as possible for you. All right, now, this episode also exists in German. So if you like, it's my very first episode I just launched on my new channel. Otherwise, let's jump in. So what happens? You want to go abroad, you want to live where other people go on holiday, because why not? And what do? So I personally recommend you found, again, this is for the European crowd. So for you guys, I recommend you found an online company. There are several countries you can do it. It depends, again, like Germany is very difficult with everything online. It's it's basically not happening. And that's also the reason why I scouted around a little bit, and I found it in Estonia. There are other countries out there as well, and some countries make it very easy, some others don't, but that depends on your setup, your life, and your desire of traveling, and where you want to be, and where your base is, and where you are registered, or where you're traveling to, all of that. So there is literally no limitation. I'm just saying there are different options out there. So the first you should do is probably get everything done while you are still in the country, if you can, or within Europe. Makes it easier, because otherwise you can obviously, let's take Estonia as an example for online companies. You can be in Australia and open an account, or not an online company in Estonia. But obviously, it will take longer for you to get all the relevant little cards you need. So you need a card, you get a little stick, this type of stuff. And until it reaches you, right, it takes longer. Or I guess you have to find an embassy, an Estonian embassy to go to pick it up, this kind of stuff. So it's definitely possible. But I just recommend, if you are European, if you are registered in Europe, try to get that done in Europe. If something goes wrong, you can act quickly. But again, just a recommendation. And what you should do before is also just make sure that you have your name ready. Make sure that you don't have any copyright claims and stuff heading your way. You want to make sure there is no trademark, right? So all of this. So this is your homework, so to speak. This is the stuff you really have to kind of get in order before you open your Estonian company, because you don't want to open a company and then have to close it down again because somebody else has actually the rights for this name. And another issue is that I experienced was Estonia, funny enough, has a lot of trademarks going on. So I couldn't even use my own name because it was too similar to another name that was registered, and the name was completely different in my opinion. But it started with an M, and then the last name started with a T, and I'm not sure if that was the reason why it was too similar. I don't know, but yeah. So Estonia is definitely a country I've seen with the most trademarks, and I really recommend that you check that out before you register your company, because otherwise it will create some delays within the process. And if you are in a rush, you want to get it done as soon as possible, and you want to sort it out before. So again, just a little tip from me. Also, usually people say it takes up to 1 month. It depends when you do it. I did it during summer time, and it's holiday season in Europe, and it took almost 2 months. So just saying, keep enough buffer. And also, once you have all your paperwork, you also have to get a business account, etc. And that also takes some time, but we will get to that in a second. So, and I know it sounds like a lot, and usually what people do is, they sign, whether they do it manually or digitally, they sign their company formation and believe, oh, this is it. Now I have my company. And I know why this can be a little bit, it feels that way, because you have it, you can literally see it, you can touch it, right? There is a piece of paper you can actually hold in your hand and see, wow, this is my registration. I now own a company. And many people believe that's it. And that's actually why what I have noticed during my recent travels, and I decided, okay, it's time for a new podcast episode where we talk about a few pitfalls people don't really have on the radar. And that's number one. So I like to compare it to, let's say, this, company formation, the signature on it is basically, you can compare it to signing the lease on your retail shop. Because sometimes people find it a little bit hard to grasp the online situation. So I just take it over to the retail stores everybody knows from the high street. So it's literally like that, like signing the contract for the lease. And it's literally the starting point, right? So signing your formation is not the end, it is the starting point. And now you basically need, if we go back to the example with the retail front or the retail shop, you need to stock your shop with products you want to sell. You need customers, you need staff, you need a cashier system. You need to understand how it works. You need to be or get yourself familiar with all the tax issues, in your country, or regulations in your country, and all of that. So everything now just starts. And yeah, that's what many people completely forget. They believe, wow, I've done all my homework and now I have my company and that's it. And now I can just chill and travel. And, that's it. Unfortunately not. But I really want you to do that. And I do want you to be safe and to enjoy your time out there. So one of the biggest things that get completely messed up or forgotten about are the following few that I will mention now. And I really hope that it will help you to don't even get in a silly situation. Okay, the very first I mentioned earlier already is make sure that you have a second or a business bank account. Don't use your personal account, even if people tell you it's fine. Actually, if you do have a company, like a registered company, it's not fine. You will need one. That's a legal thing to do in Germany, because founding a company there is very expensive. I'm not sure if it's still, but it used to be 25,000 euro, so 25K. And obviously, the easiest is to just start as a sole trader. And in that scenario, I believe you can still use you could use your private account, your private bank account. I really advise you to get a business account no matter what. Get used to separate your business from personal accounts and affairs. It just makes everything easier, not just for you, but also for people like accountants, right? For your team, for people who work with you, because otherwise you're going to lose track so fast. And yes, maybe now or next week you can remember what that was in your bank statement, but can you still remember what that was 5 years from now? Probably not. And you should not be worried about it. So have two bank accounts, one for you personally, one for your business. And then make sure that every transaction regarding your business goes through the business account, just to keep it nice and easy and clean, right? Again, we don't want to make it super complicated, but this is just the easiest to do. I've had colleagues who spend like huge amounts. So that was back in the advertising industry, and they had the budget obviously, and they transferred it, and they had it transferred into their personal account, and they were actually spending it from their personal account. And yeah, I don't know how they did it. They did it, and it went well. But honestly, I would never do it. But again, you do you. I'm just here to advise you. I give you some of my experience, some real life lived experience, just so you know, right? Because sometimes people don't tell you that. Like in school, you don't learn these things. And how do you know? Like, how do you know if nobody tells you? Right? And that's where I see myself. I just want to give you some input and some, like, hey, watch out for this and that, so you can prepare yourself. Then another big one people tend to forget is a proper contract for everything, like everything you do with your suppliers, with collaborations, for instance. And even if the collaboration is with your best friend, make sure that you have a proper contract. Same goes for logo design or website design, right? The basics. Make sure, even if it's best friend Jen, make sure that you have everything in order. Just a basic contract is enough, but make sure that you state everything that you want. Like, make sure that she grants you the user rights. Otherwise, let's say you and best friend Jen are not besties anymore, and Jen realizes, hey, wait a second, actually I want some royalties or whatever, I don't know. And then, you guys, it's her word against yours, and people will ask you, okay, but where's your contract? Where is that written? Who said what and when? So make sure that even if it's friends and family, have a contract ready. And not even as in like, I don't trust you kind of thing. More as in, hey, I want to make sure that we are safe, we are protecting each other from stuff that can happen, right? And you really want to kind of separate, not kind of, you want to separate personal and business affairs. That's just, yeah, it makes it easier, guys. It really does. And again, even if it's your mom, funny enough, my mom actually designed my last logo for Green Planet Cosmetics. And I loved it. Like, yeah, she had a few. She was just like, here, look, I made a few. Like, do you like one? I'm like, Mom, you know what? I love that one. I really love it. And I still do. And I also told her, like, listen, no offense here, but I do want to deal with it properly and professionally. Let's make a contract because this is your property, right? Your intellectual property, and I will be using it, and I will be using it publicly. So I do want us to understand it, and I do want us to sign it with a date. So if someone forgets about it or is like, oh, did we? Wait, let's look it up. Yeah, we did indeed. Simple as that. So that's that. Another one I want to add for the contract situation. Make sure that you put your company's name or the company's name followed by your name, the member. That's how I usually do it. So I always write down the company name, then member, and then my name, and I sign for my company, because otherwise it can look like a contract that is arranged between you as a personal person, as your right, your private person, and not your company. And it gets a little confusing because you are your company, but you are you, right? So it is a little complicated sometimes. It gets a little confusing, and we don't want it to be confusing, which is why it's really important to separate both. So make sure, just, if you have some contracts already, make sure that you update them. Make sure that it's definitely stating your company's name and not your personal name, or your company's name followed by your name as the member signing it. So yeah, that is another one that gets overlooked easily. So just make sure everything is in order there too. What else do we have? Invoices. Invoices is a big issue. And honestly, I didn't know until just last year. Yeah, I actually thought it's by now, like literally Canva has so many templates. And if you don't want to use that, or if you don't know Canva, what do? You ask any AI and they will give you a proper invoice. And I was actually shocked for last year's project. I I saw a lot of invoices from young creators, and I was really, really shocked how maybe one managed to actually send me a proper invoice, and everyone else failed at it. And I'm like, guys, how, like, these days I get it. Like back in the day when I started out, I couldn't just ask, like these days you just ask Google anything, or any AI, and you get a proper response. No, we had to ask our way around. And I remember that companies, when I moved around from Germany to London to then Cape Town, right? Every country has their own little rules. And again, nobody tells you when you cross a border. They say, oh, and here you go. This is what you need to know as a business owner. No, nobody does that. You have to take care of it yourself. You have to organize yourself. You have to get the information from somewhere. And then when you ask people, I remember that also back during my production days on set, some people are extremely nice and they like to share their knowledge and help you. And I met a lot of these amazing people, but some other people are not so nice and they don't want to help you. And they're like, why would I help you, write your invoice? Why should I tell you how much I make? And this kind of stuff. So yeah, I thought, okay, these days people are, I don't know, just in general, it's like general knowledge. It is not. So very important, invoices, they need to be correct, because otherwise, if you do get a tax audit and your taxman says, sorry, I can't accept it, it's not a proper EU invoice, then they would just not accept it. And if that was an invoice over several thousand or tens of thousands of euros, that's a huge problem. So you want to make sure to get them right from the start. And this is it, like, it's so easy. You just need one good example, and then you just, it goes from there, and you just update. And again, you don't even have to manually. You have so many softwares that do it for you, but you have to set them up once right. So that's important. So make sure that your invoice is legally sound in your country and also within the EU country. Make sure that if you have certain rules you have to add, or the reverse charge, or whatever, that everything is reflected on your invoice. right? The date, your name, a proper address, you need the recipient's address, you need the number. So it's a continuing number. And many people, I received some with the invoice number, and they just quoted the date on the invoice number. I'm like, guys, no. The date goes to the date field. Oh my God. Okay, let's do it. We can do it. Yeah, again. So there is no shame in it, I would say. But if you keep doing it wrong, and if you are in your 10th year or what, and you are still unclear about proper invoicing, that's a problem. And, you don't have to be, I don't know, ashamed or anything or beat yourself up. That's a waste of time. Just make sure that it's right from the next one on. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, another one. And all of this, like what, I have a few more on my list. This actually inspired me to create a program, my location independent blueprint, short LIP program. And this is going to be my baby. That's going to be my masterpiece. And I spent a lot of time explaining the invoice situation and giving all sorts of details on the proper invoice and all of that for my program. So I'm super excited for that one, but more on it in the following episodes. But yeah, this is something I really want to help people understand, because it is a little bit complicated. But once you know what to look out for, it's not so complicated anymore. And also it gives you freedom. And for me, it's so worth it. So, right, I rather wrap my head around it, get it right once if possible. Usually I also I fucked up so often when I started out as well without knowing. But because of it, I learned from it and I made it better. And that's how I know. So nobody told me. And again, it was back in the day, no such thing as, let's ask Claude or ChatGPT or what. But the good thing is we really had to learn. If you wanted to survive, you had to get it right the next time. So I guess there's always a positive and negative side to it. But I really burnt myself as well when I started out. So I know what it's like. But it's so important that you get it right, because otherwise you can get in trouble. So the next one, also related to the issue, bank statements. Make sure that you download your bank statements, at least for your business. What you do with your personal bank statements, up to you, but for your business, download it every month. And then store it somewhere. I'm not sure if you do have to print it out in paper. Again, like countries like Germany, they still like their papers. But if you live in a country where they're happy with just digital downloads, perfect, just store it somewhere. Make sure to label everything so you find it. Why is that important? Well, I've seen so many cases where people, literally, start businesses, then ask the best friend or the boyfriend or whoever, someone they know, hey, don't you want to do this? And let's do it together. They have no contracts. They don't keep track of anything. No money that was transferred from A to B. No, hey, do I want this money back? By when? All this kind of stuff, right? So it was just like freestyling, just like, oh yeah, we're so cool and chill and yeah. Until they weren't anymore. And then suddenly shit hit the fan. And I have stories where people literally ask 8 years later, what happened, by the way, when you transferred me this and this amount, or what is that for? Or, hey, is there money missing? And it's like, people are like, what do you mean? Like, what? I don't know. Look in your bank statements. Yeah, I don't have them. Well, that sucks for you. So you want to make sure you have that, just for that. You want to keep track, like that's what I definitely recommend you do at least once a month. Go over everything. Like sometimes maybe you got scammed. I don't know. Maybe you transferred one invoice twice. I don't know. Just make sure, look at it. Hey, cool. Do I have the receipt? That's I always go through, even though I have an accountant, I go through everything. Like each month I look at it. Do I have everything? Do I have this receipt? Do I have the invoice? What is this? Ah, yeah, right. It's, you get the picture. And for that, also, you can take notes. If anything is unclear, you can just type something in there, make a little note. I love my spreadsheets. I really do. And I also that's also something I share in my program, because I find it so important to have just a really nice working, functioning, in real life functioning spreadsheet that just does everything for you. So you type it in once, and then, at the end of the spreadsheet, it's calculating everything. And I love that. And I always leave some space for notes. So let's say exchange rates, because when people look at them, let's say the tax man comes as an audit and says, oh, what is this here? And okay, now what is the exchange rate? What was it on that day? Now usually my bank does it. It always says, oh, it was X amount, but I always write it down, like, where was it? What was it for? XYZ. Because I know that in 10 years' time, some audits can happen 10 years after that actually happened. And then I don't know what happened 10 years ago on that day. I don't know. I write it down. Just in case. That's it. I just want to stay on top of it. I want to stay organized. So I write it down. And then I can close this month and say, thank you very much. So what I just mentioned is also important, because I've seen people who literally, after the tax return, and they were kind of waved through and it's like, yeah, looks good, thanks very much, see you next year. They literally burnt their everything, their receipts from last year, I don't know, some sort of ceremony or what. And listen, I get it. That's literally what I feel like doing. Like, let's burn that shit. But guys, you have to keep it, because it depends on which country you are in. Again, every country has a different length of time you have to keep the records. In Germany, it's 10 years, or it used to be. I'm not registered there anymore, so please double check that. Now in Estonia, it's 7 years, I believe. So you always have to make sure that you keep these records for the amount of time that your governments, ask you to keep them. So yeah, now with digital data, it's okay, but with the paperwork, it was so annoying. So yeah, that gets better. At least that definitely gets better now. But yeah, keep that in mind. So just that you heard it, right? Please don't burn it next year. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, next one. Important. Price. Price calculation, budgeting, time management. Oh my gosh. This is my favorite, actually. I love time management and I love budgeting. But I also learned when I started, or when I went from service industry to product, there was such a huge difference in pricing, and I had no idea. When I founded Green Planet Cosmetics, I had no idea. It was the first time I ever did anything like this, literally. And if you know me, if you've been following along, you know the story. So yeah, I was completely, we say, green behind the ears. I had no idea. I was doing it all wrong. Not all, but I did a lot of things wrong. I would now do completely differently, and I would do them just more confidently as well. Definitely. So yeah, that was such a, like, the best school I could have asked for. I haven't, like, that's the kind of stuff that teaches you everything. Like, you don't learn that from books or from university. It's just really like they throw you in, okay, swim. Like, if she dies, she dies, this kind of stuff. So it was hard, it was tough, but it was also amazing to learn everything just by doing and in the real world. So there are no scenarios where people are like in a classroom, talk about it, and that you have time and you have the quietness to just do your essay. Yeah, fuck that. Seriously, it's nothing compared to a real life business. So yeah, that was interesting. And also, again, why I founded my new program is to help you guys just save yourself years and years of time and do it right from the beginning, and also have the confidence to do it and to understand why you are doing it the way you're doing it, or why you shouldn't do it this way, but this way, it's important. And I really wish that people had told me this and explained it to me better. But then also, yeah, I don't know, it wasn't available. Like, that kind of information wasn't available back in the day, and as it is now. So again, I did my fair share of mistakes and I learned from it, and now I know better. And yeah, I really hope that you also get to get some sort of benefit from it. And I hope that you don't have to go through every single mistake. Yeah, so price and time management, or budgeting in general, it's service and product it's two different worlds. That's number one I've realized. And also, it definitely, what people underestimate is some don't do any price calculations whatsoever. Others do it and they don't add enough margin. I did that and it backfired. And also for me, I used to come from an industry where it's literally like, so I got paid for my time. It was that sort of transaction where now I prefer the value-based pricing for so many reasons. And I can make a separate podcast about it. I probably will at some point, and also bring some examples from not just me, but also colleagues and other people that I've met, just to give you broad examples of what can happen if you are not really prepared for what's coming your way, right? And yeah, so this is going to be a separate episode, but make sure that you really understand what your business needs. So that is number one. And then also, what do you need as a personal person again, as a private person? So because usually it's just you, right? I guess you don't have any people working for you. So just make sure that you have the time factor, and how much money you have to make in a certain amount of time. It's just that because I've noticed more than ever that people they are doing more and trying to catch up. And I totally understand. And I also did that with Green Planet Cosmetics. And that's why I realized, shit, I can't keep doing it like this because I don't have more time. This is a time and it's kept. So what? Now I'm not making more money because I don't have more time? So yeah, this kind of stuff that is that keeps you up at night, let me tell you that. And it's very important that you first of all understand what you need as for you. What is your rent? What's your insurance? What's your food? What's everything? Like everything you need. And let's start with what you need, not what you want. So that's a different calculation. And then you also want to do that for your business side. So what does your business need, right? Because once you start running a legal business, you have fixed costs, like an accountant, for instance. So this kind of stuff you have, it depends again on the business you are running, but there are a few things that are coming your way, either annually or monthly. So you want to make sure that you know how much you have to take in or how much you need to save to just start your business, right? And to have a little bit of buffer. Because when you start, it doesn't mean that people are already lined up. In the best case, yes, but usually not really. So you just want to make sure that you definitely spend some time calculating this. And just, again, you don't have to be correct on the cent, right? No, but get an idea, get a feel for it, where you are headed, and then return to these lists and update them once you have more data. But that's very, very important because so many people don't even know what they must make every month just to pay the bills and just to keep the company and themselves afloat. And you want to know that because that also helps you to calculate the prices better, because you don't want to burn out along the way. And that's basically the key takeaway is really that if you run yourself into the ground because you haven't calculated good enough, or maybe the calculation was good 5 years ago but was never updated, and then suddenly you realize, holy shit, where did I turn wrong? Like when and what happened? And you help no one when you are burnt out. And we need you here. We need the best version of you. We need your excellent service and products. So, burning out is not an option. And that's also so important. And a reason, because I went through that myself. And I know that at some point, then nobody helps you. Don't wait for other people to come and rescue you. They won't. You have to rescue yourself. It's not very romantic, but at least, once you know that up front, it's fair and square. And yeah, as I said, nobody is helped when you are completely, broken. No, we want you strong and happy and with all the money that you need to be happy, right? So, but yeah, really, do not skip that part and don't feel bad. Like I've encountered that even people come to me and said like, oh, but that is expensive. Oh, but this isn't that. And they have so many opinions. but they are not running the business. They have no idea what's going on behind the scenes on the production chain and all this. It's literally like, would you go, if you are a surgeon from, the ER, would you discuss your people, your patients with a random person at the bus stop? No, because they have no idea what's going on. And that's it. And I know that from my friends and family, and they want to help. Yes, I know they do. They mean it with love, but it doesn't help. So it's really important that you get the idea, that when I say get a feel for it, I mean just really get like some sort of, we call it a house number, like just get the direction of, from here to there. Seems good. So don't do it based on how the stars are aligned. I've also had people like that. And again, I'm also like, I love looking up into the Milky Way, and I'm always the first to make the wish when the shooting star comes. Like, yeah, I admit it because I love it. It's fun. But it doesn't mean that, this is now, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, you want to make sure that you have underlying data for it. Don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Really not. That's the topic is too important to do it that way. And then afterwards, you can see how it feels, or I don't know, if you once you do know your prices, and then it goes for, okay, let's upgrade a little bit, and then go out and make a wish in the stars or whatever. I don't know, but just make sure that you really understand what you need to make to live a good life, and not just to get by. And yes, these months exist, but that's not the goal here. Okay, cool. Now let's move on. Okay, last one on the list is be aware that the money you make is not the money you get to keep. That is also something I'm so surprised most people don't know. Like, what? Paying tax? No, I don't pay. And then people come with like, no, I'm a digital nomad. I'm not registered anywhere. I don't pay tax. Yeah, well, that's the problem then, because that's not like, if you believe that is actually how it goes, no, it's not. And the taxman, he won't care. I can tell you that much. And maybe you should stop making videos about it then, right? So anyway, I just want to say, make sure that you stay on top of it. Like, you want to know, depending on the country again, but you want to know that you are, on the safe side. And yeah, whatever it is, like, every country in Europe has different tax rules. That's why I say, like, I don't want to give you mine right now because that might confuse you. Look it up and make sure you understand the VAT regulations as well, because the VAT is not for you. So the taxes you pay on a product and on a service is not your money. That's the money you collect for the government, and they want it either monthly or quarterly or annually. That also depends on your case. So make sure that you put it aside. Make sure that you don't touch it. So it's best if you open up a new space within your account. That's super useful. And you just put it there. And every time I transfer it, I say exactly what it is. Like, that's last quarter's VAT or whatever it is, right? So you put it there and you do not touch it. So that's what people sometimes completely forget or underestimate, or that they believe, oh, but I will catch up. I use it now and then I pay it back later. Well, you can, if you can actually manage to do it. But if you are the type who forgets about it, or who then panics if something goes wrong, I really urge you to do it in a way like, be prepared, put it aside, don't touch it. Because what happens is, once you have to pay it back and you don't pay it back because you don't have it anymore, they will, I don't know if they want to freeze your account, because I never had that situation and I don't want to have it ever. So I really make sure, I play along, I play the game. But I remember talking to someone who had it done once and he forgot about it. And then I believe what happened, there was a huge dispute with the accountant, and I want to say money was frozen at some point, and then no one could move a little bit. But anyway, maybe I misunderstood. I don't know. So again, I never had it happen to me. I don't know. But you want to make sure you save that money, and be aware that the money that you make is not the money you get to keep. Very important. Okay, one last look over here to my little cheat sheet. Oh yeah, that's another one. And now it's really the last one. Okay, where do you have to pay tax? That's another one so many people actually get wrong. Because they believe I am not registered somewhere, I don't have to pay tax. Okay, first of all, so usually it's the company who pays tax first. So the company needs to pay tax. And that depends again on the country. How much? So you want to make sure that you look up where's your company registered. Is it Germany, Spain, wherever? Make sure to look up what are, for this year, what is the rate. So that's what your company needs to pay. And in Germany, we have a lot of taxes. So there's a lot of stuff you can look into. And then important is, where do you pay tax? So your company paying tax is one thing. And now whenever you take money out, you have to pay tax because you get paid from your company. Even your company is you and your company already paid tax. And that's what people confuse it. And I understand why it is a little bit tricky. But you are in this scenario, two persons. You are your company and you are you. So company pays and you pay, which feels sometimes like you have to pay twice because it is always the same person. The person is always you. But that's how it goes. So make sure that you read into it and understand how much you have to pay, how much a company has to pay, and so on. There are a lot of amazing possibilities. I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff that's possible, and that makes this type of setup so much fun. But that's part in another episode. If you do have a question, please let me know in the comments. If you have a specific one, let me know. And otherwise, I'm probably just gonna combine what I hear on the streets. Like usually I get my inspiration by talking to other people, because then I hear, firsthand, okay, what's still lacking, what's still missing on information out there, and what seems to be still the issue. So it really helps me, because what I feel is the issue is not usually what other people feel, because I am a little bit ahead, right? For me, like again, the invoice or the contract, that for me is so clear, and for other people it's not. So it helps me when people tell me what their problems are and what they're unsure about, because then I know where to pick them up from, right? It's like, okay, cool. Otherwise I wouldn't have talked about it, because for me, I believe you guys know. So yeah, let me know if you have a specific question or anything else you want to talk about. Again, I really love the whole tax situation. And if do I have to pay double taxation here or there? And yeah, again, invoices, budgeting, time management, all of that is so much fun. I personally love it, but it's obviously only fun if it's done correctly, because if it's mismanaged, then it's just a horror scenario. So yes, that's it. Okay, guys. So again, just a quick reminder, I have a second channel, Maria Unleashed Deutsch. If you want to hear me in my mother language, I will now upload every German episode there and not on this channel anymore. So just that you know. Feel free to just subscribe to both if you like. Give me a like if you are tuning in from Spotify. And if you like this episode, please give me 5 stars. Yay, 5 karma stars. It's massively appreciated. And I will see you in the next one. Oh, one more thing I almost forgot. I have a new Instagram channel as well. Yes, for all this type of stuff. So if you like this type of content, what happens when I cross a border, what happens with the tax, this and this and that. I talk about this exclusively, right? This business side on my new channel, Ethosun Consulting. Yes. I will link everything in the description, so it's easy for you to find. Alrighty. But now, until next time. Bye.